It's 2147 inches, the southern Caribbean Sea. The USS Arleigh Burke cuts through dark waters, radar sweeping empty ocean until 6 contacts appear on screen, closing fast at 42 knots. No transponders, no radio response, just 6 Venezuelan warships moving in coordinated formation straight toward the destroyer. The weapons officer stares at his display. His hand hovers over the fire control panel. He has maybe 8 minutes before they enter engagement range, maybe less. The Caribbean at night is supposed to be quiet. Commercial traffic, fishing boats, maybe a patrol vessel here and there. But this isn't that. 6 warships don't move in attack formation by accident. They don't ignore radio hails by mistake, and they definitely don't accelerate toward a U.S. Navy destroyer unless something has gone very, very wrong. The captain steps onto the bridge. His face shows nothing, but everyone can feel the shift. The air gets heavier, sharper. He looks at the radar display for 3 seconds, then turns to his combat systems officer. Confirm identity, range, speed. Armament, if possible. His voice is calm, measured, but there's an edge underneath, because confirmation means decisions, and decisions at sea can't be undone. The Combat Information Center goes into high alert. Screens light up with tracking data. Satellite feeds scroll across monitors. Intelligence officers pull up Venezuelan naval assets, frigate classes, missile systems, electronic warfare capabilities. Within 90 seconds, they have positive identification. 4 Constitucion-class patrol vessels. 2 larger frigates, all armed, all heading directly toward the Burke at maximum speed. Distance, 38 kilometers and closing. The executive officer runs calculations in his head. At current speeds, they'll be within anti-ship missile range in under 6 minutes. Within gun range, in 12. The Venezuelan vessels are older, Soviet-era designs retrofitted with modern Chinese systems. Outgunned, sure, but numbers matter, and 6 ships can launch a lot of ordnance very quickly. The captain doesn't hesitate. Battle stations, weapons free, authorization standing by. Alarms pulse through the ship. Crew members sprint to stations they've drilled 1,000 times but never used in anger. Missile tubes unlock. Fire control radars activate. The Aegis combat system begins tracking all 6 targets simultaneously, building firing solutions in real time. But here's the thing about modern naval warfare. It's not about who shoots first. It's about who shoots smart. The Burke doesn't just have weapons. It has layers. Tomahawk cruise missiles for precision strikes at long range. Harpoon anti-ship missiles for mid-range engagements, 5-inch deck guns for close combat, and the RIM 66 standard missiles that can intercept anything the Venezuelans throw back. The tension on the bridge is thick enough to cut. Junior officers watch their stations with laser focus. The helm maintains course and speed, no evasive maneuvers yet, because that would signal weakness or panic. The Burke holds steady, projecting confidence even as every weapon system spins up to combat readiness. This is psychological warfare as much as it is tactical positioning. The message is clear. We see you, we're ready, and we're not backing down. The weapons officer watches his screen. 6 red diamonds move closer. Firing solutions lock green, one by one. Each target is analyzed by the Aegis system hull, type, speed, course, probable weapons loadout. The computer calculates optimal impact points, projected damage, probability of mission kill versus full destruction. All of this happens in seconds, faster than any human crew could manage manually. Captain, all targets acquired, firing solution optimized, ready on your command. The captain looks at the radar one more time, then at the communication station. Any response to our hails? The comms officer shakes his head. Negative, sir. All channels silent. They're ignoring standard maritime protocols, ignoring military frequencies, ignoring everything. Silence at sea means intent. It means the other side has already made their choice. It means whatever happens next was decided before the first radar contact was even made. The captain understands this. His crew understands this. There's no more time for warnings or negotiations. The Venezuelan warships have closed to 32 kilometers. They're accelerating. They're showing no signs of altering course. Engage. The deck shudders. A Tomahawk missile erupts from its vertical launch cell with a roar that drowns out everything else. Fire and smoke blast upward into the night sky. Then, another launch. Then 4 more in rapid succession. 6 missiles, 1 for each target. They arc into the darkness, exhaust trails glowing brilliant orange against black water. For a moment, the entire ocean lights up like day. Sailors on deck shield their eyes from the sudden glare. Then, darkness returns, and the waiting begins. Tomahawk cruise missiles don't just fly, they think. Each one carries a GPS-guided brain that updates its course 1,000 times per second. They fly low, skimming wave tops at 880 kilometers per hour, using terrain masking to avoid radar detection. They don't waste fuel on fancy maneuvers, they just go straight to the target and hit it. The missiles separate, each tracking its designated target with sensors that can distinguish between ships at ranges where human eyes would see nothing but empty horizon. Flight time, 4 minutes, 12 seconds. Inside the Combat Information Center, operators track each missile's telemetry. Green lines crawl across digital maps, converging on 6 red points. No deviation, no malfunction. Each Tomahawk transmits data back to the Burke: altitude, speed, distance to target, fuel remaining, guidance, system status. The system is doing exactly what it was designed to do: deliver precision violence at extreme range with zero margin for error. The Venezuelan warships react. Their radar systems light up, tracking the incoming threats. Defensive countermeasures deploy, chaff clouds bloom in the air, trying to confuse missile guidance systems. Close-in weapon systems spin up, ready to throw walls of bullets at anything that gets close. Alarm klaxons wail across their decks. Crews scramble to their defensive positions, knowing they have less than 4 minutes to prepare for impact. But they're reacting to technology that's 2 generations ahead of their defensive capabilities. The Tomahawks adjust course in real time, filtering out false targets created by chaff. Their onboard computers distinguish between actual ship signatures and countermeasures with accuracy that makes older defensive systems nearly useless. This is the gap between modern American naval technology and Soviet-era platforms. It's not just a gap, it's a chasm. 3 minutes. The missiles drop even lower, now just meters above the wave tops. Radar operators on the Venezuelan ships lose tracking locks as the missiles disappear into sea clutter. This is the nightmare scenario for naval defenders. Threats that fly too low to track reliably, too fast to intercept manually, guided by systems that don't miss. 2 minutes. The Venezuelan ships fire their own countermeasures blindly, hoping to create enough electronic noise and physical obstacles to disrupt the incoming missiles. Flares shoot into the sky. More chaff deploys. Some vessels even fire their deck guns in the general direction of the threat, a desperate attempt to throw up a wall of steel that might catch a missile. It doesn't work. 1 minute. The Tomahawks enter their terminal attack phase. Each missile climbs slightly, gaining altitude for the final dive toward its target. The onboard guidance systems lock onto specific impact points, engine rooms, propulsion systems, communication arrays. These aren't random strikes. Every impact point has been calculated to maximize mission effectiveness while minimizing unnecessary casualties. 30 seconds. 15, 10. The first missile hits at 21 hours, 51 minutes, and 34 seconds. The lead frigate takes the impact amidship right at the waterline. The explosion is surgical enough to cripple propulsion and disable combat systems, but not enough to sink the vessel outright. Metal tears. Bulkheads collapse. The entire ship shudders from the blast wave. Fires erupt in the engine spaces. Automatic suppression systems activate, but the damage is catastrophic. 3 seconds later, the second impact. Another Venezuelan vessel rocks violently as a Tomahawk punches through its hull just below the waterline. Then the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, all within a span of 18 seconds. 6 targets, 6 hits, simultaneous detonations coordinated by satellite timing to within milliseconds of each other. The Venezuelan formation disintegrates. Ships veer off course, trailing smoke and listing to port or starboard. Emergency signals flood the radio frequencies. Damage control teams scramble through darkened passageways, fighting fires and trying to seal breaches. Injured sailors are carried to medical stations. Officers shout orders into communication systems that no longer work. But the fight is already over. It ended the moment those missiles launched. And here's where it gets interesting. Because what the Venezuelans thought was a full-scale attack meant to destroy their fleet wasn't. Every single missile was programmed with reduced warhead yields and precision targeting to disable, not destroy. The Burke could have put those missiles through the magazines, through the bridges, through fuel tanks. It could have turned those 6 warships into burning wrecks sinking beneath the Caribbean. Instead, it hit engine rooms, communications arrays, steering systems, places that would stop the ships without killing everyone aboard. The U.S. Navy didn't want to sink 6 warships. It wanted to stop them. And there's a massive difference between those two objectives. One is about destruction, the other is about control. And control is what modern naval warfare is really about. The captain watches the radar display update. All 6 contacts are slowing. 3 have stopped moving entirely. The others are turning away, limping at reduced speed. No return fire, no counterattack. Just retreat and damage control. The threat has been neutralized without firing a single shot in response. He picks up the radio handset himself. Venezuelan Naval Forces, this is USS Arleigh Burke. You are directed to heave to and prepare for inspection. Any further hostile action will be met with overwhelming force. Acknowledge. 15 seconds of static. Then a voice, strained and barely controlled. USS Arleigh Burke. This is Venezuelan frigate Mariscal Sucre. We acknowledge. We are standing down. Request immediate medical assistance for wounded personnel. The tactical situation flips instantly. 30 seconds ago, the Burke was facing a coordinated attack from 6 warships. Now it's running a rescue operation. The captain orders 2 helicopters launched with medical teams and damage control specialists. The SH-60 Seahawks lift off from the flight deck, their rotors cutting through smoke that still hangs in the air from the missile launches. Within minutes, U.S. Navy corpsmen are aboard Venezuelan vessels, treating injured sailors and helping stabilize fires that threaten to spread through damaged compartments. But while that's happening, something else is unfolding that nobody on the Burke expected. Intelligence officers aboard the destroyer are analyzing the engagement data, and they're noticing patterns that don't make sense. The Venezuelan warships weren't broadcasting standard military frequencies. They were using encrypted civilian channels, the kind narcotics traffickers use to coordinate movements across international waters. Their formation wasn't a proper naval attack pattern, it was a smuggling convoy escort formation designed to protect high-value cargo rather than conduct military operations. And when the Burke sensors analyzed the radar signatures more closely, looking at hull profiles and weight distribution, they found something nobody expected. 3 of the 6 warships had modified cargo holds. Enlarged, reinforced. The kind of modifications you make when you're not carrying military supplies, the kind you make when you're moving something else entirely. Something heavy, something valuable, something illegal. The executive officer brings the findings to the captain. They stare at the intelligence report together, and the implications start becoming clear. This wasn't a military confrontation. This was an interdiction. Those warships weren't attacking, they were trying to break through to get past the Burke and deliver whatever they were carrying to destinations further north. The captain makes a call that changes everything. Secure those vessels. Full inspection teams. I want every compartment searched, every cargo manifest verified, every crew member interviewed. This wasn't a military operation. This was something else. Over the next 6 hours, inspection teams tear through the disabled Venezuelan warships. Marines establish security perimeters. Investigators photograph everything. Translators interview crew members who are confused, frightened, and increasingly willing to talk. And what they find turns the entire incident from a naval engagement into an international crisis that will have consequences for years. Hidden compartments filled with cocaine. Over 14 tons of it, street value north of $400 million. Weapons, crates bound for cartel networks in Central America, forged documents listing the cargo as humanitarian supplies destined for island nations, communications, logs showing coordination with Venezuelan military officials at the highest levels, including encrypted messages that reference payment schedules and delivery timelines. The warships weren't acting on orders from Venezuelan Naval Command, at least not official orders. They were running protection for one of the largest drug trafficking operations ever attempted through Caribbean waters. and they'd chosen to engage a U.S. destroyer because they thought they could slip past in the chaos of a confrontation, or because someone had fed them catastrophically bad intelligence about American response times and rules of engagement. Either way, they were wrong. Catastrophically wrong. By dawn, all 6 Venezuelan vessels are under U.S. custody. Crews are separated and detained for questioning. The cocaine is documented, photographed, and secured in evidence containers for eventual destruction. Diplomatic channels light up between Washington and Caracas, with very pointed questions being asked about how Venezuelan military assets ended up running escort for narcotics traffickers. Questions that demand answers. Questions that can't be ignored. The Venezuelan government scrambles to respond. Official statements call it a rogue operation, unauthorized by command. Arrests are promised. Investigations are launched. Press releases emphasize that this does not represent Venezuelan policy or military doctrine, but the evidence is overwhelming, and the international community isn't buying the denials. Because 6 warships don't go rogue by accident. That level of coordination requires support, logistics, command approval. It requires fuel, ammunition, port access, navigation data, communications support. It requires corruption at levels that can't be hidden anymore. Meanwhile, the USS Arleigh Burke sits in calm waters, crew at normal readiness, helicopters returning from their final runs. The Combat Information Center has gone quiet again. Screens show empty ocean. The 6 red contacts that appeared on radar 7 hours ago are now green, neutralized, secured, accounted for. The weapon systems are safed, the missile tubes are locked. Everything has returned to normal operations as if the engagement never happened. The captain stands on the bridge, watching the sun rise over water that looks peaceful now, like nothing happened. But something did happen. The Caribbean just became a very different place for anyone thinking they could move illegal cargo through U.S. patrolled waters. The message is clear, and it's been delivered with precision that left no room for misunderstanding. You don't challenge American naval power. Not with 6 ships, not with 60. The technology gap is too wide, the training gap is too deep. And when a Burke-class destroyer locks weapons on your position, you have exactly one good option, and that's to stand down before the missiles fly. Because once they launch, the outcome is no longer in question. This incident becomes a case study at naval warfare colleges within weeks. Not because of the engagement itself that was textbook, almost boring in its efficiency, but because of what came after, the intelligence work, the inspection protocols, the way a military confrontation turned into a counter-narcotics operation without missing a beat. That's the real power projection. Not just the ability to hit targets, but the ability to control what happens next, to shape outcomes, to turn a tactical engagement into strategic advantage. 3 weeks later, the Venezuelan government quietly retires 4 admirals and 18 senior officers. Internal investigations uncover networks of corruption that run deep into the naval command structure, involving not just ship captains, but logistics officers, port commanders, and senior administrative personnel who helped facilitate the trafficking operations. Port facilities are raided, bank accounts are frozen. The entire Caribbean trafficking operation collapses as participants either flee to countries without extradition treaties or cooperate with authorities to avoid prosecution. And it all started with 6 contacts on a radar screen at 21:47 on a night that was supposed to be routine. The Burke returns to normal patrol operations, the crew rotates back to regular shifts, maintenance teams inspect the launch systems and reload the empty missile tubes with fresh Tomahawks. Reports are filed with detailed accounts of every decision, every action, every outcome. Debriefs are conducted to identify lessons learned and areas for improvement, and then they go back to watching empty ocean, waiting for the next time something appears on radar that shouldn't be there. Because that's what destroyers do. They patrol, they watch, they maintain presence in waters that matter. And when someone makes the catastrophically bad decision to challenge that presence, they respond with a level of precision and overwhelming force that ends the situation before it can escalate into something worse. Before shots are fired, in anger, before casualties mount on both sides, the goal is always to de-escalate through strength, to end confrontations through capability rather than carnage. The 6 Venezuelan warships are eventually returned to their government after lengthy negotiations and significant diplomatic concessions, including agreements to allow U.S. Coast Guard observers at key Venezuelan ports. They sail back to port under their own power, repaired but forever marked by what happened. Their crews are replaced entirely, new captains are appointed, new missions are assigned, ones that don't involve escorting narcotics through international waters or challenging U.S. naval assets. And somewhere in the Pentagon, analysts add another data point to their models of Caribbean maritime security. Another incident that shows what happens when old doctrine meets new technology. Another reminder that naval warfare in the 21st century isn't about tonnage or crew size. It's about sensors, precision weapons, and the ability to make decisions faster than your opponent can react. It's about integration, coordination, the ability to see everything, hit anything, and control outcomes from the first moment of contact. The USS Arleigh Burke continues its patrol, radar sweeping, systems monitoring, crew ready, because the Caribbean is quiet again. For now, but the ocean is big, and there's always another contact, another situation, another night when something appears on screen that shouldn't be there, and when that happens, the response will be exactly the same, measured, precise, and absolutely overwhelming. That's not a threat, it's just a fact. Naval power projection in the modern era means you don't have to wonder what will happen if you challenge it. You already know. The Burke proved it. 6 missiles, 6 targets, 6 hits. And a message delivered that will echo through naval commands and criminal organizations for years to come. The Caribbean is not open for business, not for traffickers, not for anyone who thinks outdated warships and corrupt officers can overcome American technology and training. Hit subscribe for more real naval operations.